Hey guys, welcome to CG Toots Plus. My name is Harrison. Today is the third and final part of our epic three-parter on a complete project workflow from beginning to end. If you haven't seen part 1 or 2, you are going to have to go watch those or else you're going to have no idea what's going on. Quick recap. Part 1, we set up our files, did a quick animation, rendered out style frames that we then showed the client. Beginning of part 2, we got our feedback from the client on what to change. We made those changes, set up the animation, then sent an animation off for the client to approve. Now, part 3, we have those we have that feedback back, and it's just 4 simple things. They want to drop the white on the top. They want less particles, less motion, maybe. They want the particles to be less prominent, I guess you could say. They want brighter highlights on the 3D in the top right. And they want the plates in the back. They love those, but now they don't want them to fade. They kind of want them to animate on, like how the cubes slide in. They want those. They don't want them to just stand there moving. They want them to slide on and then slide off, like everything else does. That's the thing. Okay, like the white up top. That's a classic example. 999 times out of 1,000. The client is not a designer. They have no experience with this kind of stuff. They don't pre-visualize. They don't have any kind of aesthetic taste or well, they don't really have a sense of design. So they may love something in one part. Then when you get feedback and you make the changes, something that they love, they may now hate because they didn't anticipate what that was going to do to this, they didn't anticipate what that was going to do to the design. It's been a long day, all right? It's like 6:45. I've been working since 7 a.m., all right? And this is the first time I've done a tutorial back-to-back. Usually, I do a tutorial, I tell Caleb, now that I know how to pronounce his name, because in the email he wrote Caleb, like K-Leb. Usually I do a tutorial and he ends up emailing me like 5 or 6 times, because I procrastinate. Then I finally knock out the second one for him. So this is the first back-to-back I've done, and unfortunately probably won't be the last. Okay, so the clients don't have any sense of design of what things are going to look like in the future after they make these changes. So it's going to be give and take. You're going to have to decide for yourself how you want to deal with this. You can either, personally, I tend to take a stand on things like that. Normally, if a client would have said, I need to move this over here, I want you to move this over here, if I think that's going to look bad, I'll tell them that. I'll go, look, from where I stand, moving this over there is going to look awful, But at the end of the day, they're the ones writing the check, so they're going to get what they want. The thing you have to remember, though, is you cannot, and please do not, be completely spineless when it comes to doing this for people. Not only are they hiring your skills, and not only are they paying for what it is you're going to produce for them, they're paying for your expertise, and they're paying for your professionalism, and they're paying for you. So they want to know what it is you think. You're basically playing designer and consultant at the same time a lot of the times. So you have to remember that when you do these kind of things. With that in mind, just those 4 quick changes, we'll just knock them out, bam, 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 set up the final render, then deliver to the client, and then that'll be the end of this tutorial. I'll do a quick final thoughts kind of thing, like Jerry Springer-like, and then I have no idea why I did it like that. We're going to do just quick final thoughts, so just some parting thoughts that I want to give you guys, especially coming from somebody who's interviewed a lot of designers coming straight out of college, or a lot of guys who are looking to break into the business. A lot of things that I'd like, personally, a lot of designers, future designers to know. All right, guys. So here we are in our familiar Cinema 4D file right here. This is just gonna be a real quick, simple change. We've got to turn the matte object off. We're gonna turn the C4D object off, and now we have to turn the background on. Now with our cubes in the background, we have to go into our transform. No, it's the our techno cubes. There we are. We're gonna animate the Y a whole lot more. Let's see here. That's how it looks. Yeah, we're gonna come straight down with it. So now we're gonna grab our techno cubes. We're gonna add a keyframe here. Where's the other keyframe? Oh, it's just animating like that. Okay, so we'll put a keyframe there. Put a keyframe on frame 20. Put a keyframe on 30. And then where's everything else animating out? Everything else is animating out 1, 10, to 125. All right, those are our markers. Frame 30, we're in. Frame 0, I want to go straight down. Whoops, forgot to add a keyframe. There we go. Keyframe. That looks atrocious. Alright, we're gonna get rid of that. Alright, let's see if we can spread these a little more. Let's put a keyframe at frame 30. Let's see if we can split them. There we go, that'll look better. Add keyframe. See how it looks. And then we're gonna add a keyframe at frame 110 is when everything goes away. Everything starts to go away, and it actually animates at what, 125? Yeah, we can get rid of that at 125. Actually, we shouldn't have to because the matte object's going to take care of that. Yeah, nothing else is really moving on. But this is moving on, which is important. And remember, we have the auto tangents on, so we have this bounce right there we want to get rid of. So we're going to go we're going to go into our timeline. Oh, man. Back-to-back tutorials. This is the last time I do one of these. Hopefully next time, actually we can get rid of these tracks too. Let's get rid of these tracks. Hopefully next time we're not done this, so yeah, there we go. There you go. Now if you remember from our other one where I went into the timeline and showed you, yeah, see? Actually, we're gonna move this down. Let's move this down below so that way it continues. And then we'll grab this, Pickwick stick or whatever you want to call it. There we go. Get rid of the timeline. Let's see how this looks. Animates on, keeps moving, looking good. Alright, now let's bring in the timeline. Let's zero this out because I don't like how it slows down. I want to have it keep animating. So I'm gonna do it that way. Shrink this down a little bit. Alright, see how it looks. Flies in, just keeps on keeping on, looking good. Alright. And we're just animating the background, right? Good. Render settings. I have to overwrite the old files. Our background animation. Boom. Render picture viewer. Alright, and I'll be right back when this is finished. Alright, we got our render finished. We're just going to go into C4D right here. Or, we're going to go into After Effects right here. Reload the background. And it should animate. Yeah, perfect. In fact, because, well, no, I think we're still going to have to fade it. Yeah, we're still going to have to fade it because of the things on the top. That's fine. Alright, so now it animates on, which is what they want. Actually, let's cut this on a little bit sooner. There we go. In fact, why don't we do this? Take the black fade. We'll just animate on the purple background separate from everything else. Cubes are flying in, looking good. Yeah, there we go. Looks pretty good. Alright, let's kill the white flare up top. Brighter highlights in the top right. Well, that's going to be a little bit more of an issue. We're going to have to add a soft light. Then we can put a glow on that. This is the... yeah, that's the one that's up there. Alright, so let's go Effect. Man, I haven't used a plain glow in forever. Stylize, I think it is? Yeah, glow. There we go. Oh, no, that looks awful. Color channels. Double composite the original. You know what? We're just gonna use Star Glow. All right. Trap code Star Glow. Let's go with that. Yeah, let's start from scratch. Let's see how that looks. All right, stylize, glow. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And if we add that as a soft light, or what if I let's see here. That looks pretty good. Let me bring up the midpoint. Glow radius, pretty good. Take the threshold back a little bit more. That's pretty good. How's the original one? Yeah, behind. Glow operation add. Yeah. A and B colors. I'll keep colors. No, let's just make it. Yeah, A-B colors. Alright, let's take the opacity back on this a little bit. And yeah, there we go. How's that look? That looks alright. I mean, it looks kind of hokey and kind of Star Warsy, but you know, gets the job done. And then, you know, it gives them what they want, which makes me happy. There we go. Highlights, glows, flares dropped. All right, so there we go. Quick changes. We're gonna make our quick final render. Now, usually, all right. So when we render this for the client, the one thing that we have to know is whether or not they're going to need this in what kind of format. Well, no, alpha channel. What kind of format they're going to need it. We're also going to need to know if they're going to interlace it themselves or if we have to do it. If we're going to interlace it ourselves, then just field render, lower field first is usually what you use. Frame rate 29.97. If they're going to interlace it, what usually, I mean, it'd be good to know this at the beginning of the project. But if they're going to interlace it, then what I do is in Cinema 4D, I increase the frame rate to say 60 frames per second, because then what that does is that doubles the frames and then allows when they interlace it on their end. Geez, I'm gonna have to go into a huge tutorial on the difference between interlacing and progressive. Allows them to do when they take the progressive frames and then interlace them on their end, allows them to make sure that they get a complete image each time the computer interlaces it. It's very rare when that happens. Usually you can just give them 29.97 progressive animation and then it'll interlace fine, but some obscure machines, especially in broadcast, I mean some people have these computers that are running on duct tape and hope. So final render is just going to be full resolution, 864 by 486, 29.97 frames. The whole thing. Our final render is going to be no compression. When I send these things out to clients, no compression. They can compress it themselves on their end. Millions of colors plus best, and I like to do straight preferably. I don't know why that's changed. Oh, that's right, I had to change it for something else. Straight, unmatted alpha channels. Then we click OK. This is our CG Toots 2 client. This is going to be deliverable. And then this is going to be our CG Tunes Plus logo. And yeah, just anim's fine. Save. Render. And there it goes. There's our project rendering right there in the background. Our baby's all grown up. It's all growed up. Yeah, we got everything we need to go here. Oh, I forgot the particular. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm sorry. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just take the particle. We'll just take the particle count down. Take it down to 40, and we'll take the velocity down to 40. So that'll shrink it a whole lot. Plus we can take the, let's see, the size. We can take it down to 1. Size random. Yeah, that's alright. Opacity 100%. Opacity random. No, that's good. Okay. Actually, you know what? Now that we did that, let's take this up to, let's put it at 60. How's that look? Yeah, less particles. They're still out there, but there's less of them, which is good. Alright, and then now we render our final animation. Final render with alpha. I have to remember to change this to straight. I'll do a tutorial, don't worry, on the difference between straight and pre-multiplied. It'll just be a quick one, because there's really, I mean, it's not a massive difference, but when you do, I'll go into it. There's a little bit of depth to it. I mean, I can tell you, I mean, the simple answer right now is use pre-multiplied if you're compositing something, if you're compositing 3D onto footage. Use straight if you don't know. That's the basic thing. If you're, like what we do here, because we're taking this 3D and we're bringing it into a background, we're doing all kinds of crazy stuff with the background that we can't do in Cinema 4D. We're going to do straight alpha channels. If we're doing, like, if there's a footage file in here and they want us to put a 3D text, like if there's like at the beginning of Heroes or something. Well, no, I don't think Heroes does it. I think Fringe does it, right? Where they got 3D text and footage. Yeah, they use Buju to match the camera and they bring it in. Then we would have the footage file in the background and we'd use pre-multiplied alpha channel so that way it blends correctly. I'll go into it in the future. Anyway, so there's our animation. I mean, our glorious, pretty. Oh, there it is. Nope. To client, deliverables, our animation, in all its glory. And now you can see the alpha channel right there being traced in After Effects, or in QuickTime. And you can see all the banding is gone. Looks good. Colors look good. Nothing's intersecting. Everything looks great. And then it flies right off. And you can see there's the traced alpha channel. Now, if your client gets this and opens this up in After Effects, or opens this up in QuickTime, and wants to know what this is the alpha channel cutoff border. As you can see, these are all jaggedy pixels. None of them are blended. That's another reason why you have straight and pre-multiplied alpha channels. I'll go into that. But when you apply this, when the alpha channel is applied in a program that actually uses the alpha channel, because I mean, look, I mean, this just blinks on right here. I mean, it doesn't look like that in the actual project. I mean, they're faded on. You see? And even then, they're barely there. And then they're faded on. There's a cutoff. The QuickTime shows you the straight alpha, so that way you can see it. And I prefer it this way, because that way I can see that, you know, my flare has an alpha channel, and that everything looks good right here. And then this will all be blended into the final footage file when they use it. Alright, so that's it. See you guys in a minute. Alright, so we got our project done. We sent it off to the client. Normally at this point you would bill them for the remainder of the invoice, whatever that may be. I do half at the beginning of the project, the start, then half at the end. So I would send them an invoice to get a check for the remainder of the project. You know, I mean, I hope this helps you a lot. I mean, this is the kind of stuff they don't really. Well, I mean, I was an art director for a time, and so I had when I would have to hire designers, they would come in and you know, they would know the program from college. You know, they would know, you know, layer masks in Photoshop. They would know, you know, spline modeling in Cinema 4D, or they'd know, you know, all the different things about After Effects, like how to use, you know, all the different effects and 3D layers in After Effects. But they wouldn't know the nuts and bolts of getting these guys to work together. They wouldn't know how things are in the real world, but most importantly, they wouldn't know why they're doing any of that. They really wouldn't know how to deal with clients. I mean, that was a huge thing that I did not like dealing. I did not like dealing with clients that would call me or email me upset because the person that they're dealing with, they just can't talk to anymore because they can't deal with them. So I hope you learned something. Remember, this is not a one-size-fits-all situation. What you do for yourself and your workflow is whatever works for you. The only thing I can hope for is that you saw this. I mean, this is how I really do things in the real world, and you learned something, especially if you want to, move and become professional at this. For me, when I was looking towards hiring designers, learn why. Learn, when you see a design or you see an animation that you really like, really study it and try and figure out why you like it, why you don't like it, why you think it's lacking. That's the hard stuff to teach. I mean, like I would tell these guys I tell these guys and girls when they come in, look, I can teach you Photoshop, I can teach you Cinema 4D, I can teach you After Effects, I can teach you Illustrator, I can show you how to use these programs. But if you don't have a sense of what you like as far as design, if you don't have some kind of aesthetic value or any kind of, just skill, or not even a skill, not even a talent. It's just, if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, then I can't teach that. I can't show you that. I don't know anybody who could. If they could, let me know. I'll hire them. I mean, there are days when I have no idea what I'm doing. But it's just really study what you do and learn why, not just how and not just what. That's the most important thing, especially when you do these tutorials. And that was my dog. Say hi, Hershey. All right. So the sooner you can learn why, and the sooner that you can learn what you like about design and what you don't like about design, the better you're going to become. And then the more you get from these tutorials, which ultimately to me would just, that just makes me feel great, Hopefully next time I have to hire a designer, they've watched a few of these that, a few other people that have done them on the site, and then they can, that'd be great. Make my job a lot easier. Okay, so next tutorial, if you have any questions or anything on anything I've shown you, I know I breezed through a lot of stuff on here that really deserve their own tutorial. MoGraph alone, that's going to be huge, but it needs to be done. Especially with the new MoGraph modules and things like that. The sooner you guys learn what this thing can do and how they interact and why to use it, what it can really bring to a project, the better. I got to start doing After Effects tutorials, because I'm realizing that by doing these tutorials where I take Cinema 4D and import it and work with After Effects, a lot of you guys that are using exclusively Cinema 4D and haven't really done a lot with After Effects as far as compositing are going to be kind of lost when it comes to that. If you use exclusively Cinema 4D, and you don't think you'll ever need to use After Effects, you may get away with that. It's just, Cinema 4D is really broadcast oriented. It's really oriented towards exactly what I showed you today, which was, broadcast design, 3D into After Effects, give it to the client. Or Illustrator into Cinema 4D, into After Effects, and then off to the client. That's really where its bread and butter is. Rendering something straight out of Cinema 4D to be used strictly as a 3D element is, I don't know. You probably get away with it, but you're probably better off using something like 3ds Max or even Maya. When you think about just 3D that's being used in like movies and things like that, that's mostly Maya is what's using that, because that the Maya renderer and the things surrounding that are much stronger when it comes to strictly 3D. Cinema 4D and After Effects really play well together. So, the sooner you can learn that program, the better you're going to be. Because I know, speaking from experience, that's the one thing I wanted, was a person who at least understood Cinema 4D and how how it interacts with After Effects and why you use both of these programs together. So hopefully you learned something. Once again, any questions or comments or anything like that, throw it in the comments section. I promise to read them more often. I'm really surprised that some of these are still getting comments. I read one that was from I put up a tutorial in September, and it got a comment in January. That was just surreal to me. If you have any real complaints, you can email Caleb directly. anytime, day or night. I'm sure he'd love it. Make sure you spam his inbox too. I'm sure he'd have a thrill with that. Sorry about that. So yeah, hope you learned something, and look forward to seeing you guys later.